What's up? It is May 9th. Time for our 14th Biweekly At What Cost Discord meeting. This is where we meet up every other Friday night at 9 o'clock and talk about everything that's happened over the last 2 weeks and what we're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks before we meet up again. And, just kind of come together as a group at what cost and see if we can move in any direction, build solidarity, help strengthen the UFCW. Specifically, we're here in Local 8, most of us, but people have been popping in and coming and going from all over the place, including our friend Adam from the SEIU. What's up, brother? Hello, Tony, in the chat. And for everybody who watches it later, thank you for watching it later. You can help out a lot by sharing the link with a coworker so that they can watch it too and letting them know this kind of stuff's going on. We're always looking for more people to not only get this information but help spread it around. And I have a feeling that out there, like on the shop floor, in our stores, like in the aisles and the back rooms and the night crews and the freezers, dairy boxes, delis, produce departments, etc., there are people that wish their union was stronger and wish they could do something to make it stronger, but have no idea what those things even are. And I feel very confident in saying that this is probably one of the best places to find that kind of stuff. So please come hang out with us, check it out, see what this is all about, look into it for yourself. There's a lot of commentary out there about what's going on with At What Cost, and whether it's some sort of a power grab or something within the UFCW. And the answer to that question is no, it's not a power grab, but it is a group of people that are looking for some structural changes to the way that the UFCW operates in terms of where the power lies and where members fall in the equation. So while we're building up that coalition, we invite you to come be a part of it and see what that is, what that feels like on the inside. There's a lot of information available and a lot of things going on for you to tap into, and we'll cover some of that stuff coming up. But man, it has been a busy couple weeks. We just had a crazy announcement with the UFCW. We've got some leadership changes coming at the international level, so we'll be going over that. It's a really good time to start getting involved in your union because there's a lot of exciting things happening up on the top leadership level that doesn't normally go on. Like normally that's a quiet space in the UFCW, so we don't engage or interact with that arm of it very often. So this is a cool kind of opportunity to look into that. And a lot of stuff's been coming up around that, so we'll cover that in tonight's agenda. We're going to talk about some of the differences in the business model that the UFCW uses in most of its locals versus the organizing model that's starting to gain traction and make waves kind of throughout the UFCW, and is specifically tied into a lot of things that At What Cost believes in. Before we even knew what the name of all this stuff was, it was the things that the people that got into it on the ground level were wanting and looking into and trying to find answers to before we even knew that an organizing model existed or something that was called that existed. So we'll talk about what that is and kind of define that. And I think out there in the stores you hear a lot of talk about it being like this radical idea or this extreme ideology, and hopefully by the end of this meeting you'll see that that's not the case. The service model that's the model that we operate under. You guys know what it feels like. It feels like the UFCW is another company that is on top of us, and we do have access to it. We can go to it as often as it's available for us to get into. We're welcome into the office anytime. We can call any of the phone numbers that are available to us and speak to whoever answers the phone. We've got the trust fund available to us as well, and they encourage us to do so. They're sitting there waiting for us to initiate that conversation and ask those questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, unfortunately there's no way for you to find that out. But if you do happen to find out a question that you would like to ask them, then please give them a call and or go into the office and ask your question. Spend some time with your rep, spend some time with the office administrator, and hang out. And that service model is fine when no union members want to participate, when nobody wants to be actively engaged in their union, or plug into the activities like negotiating or up on into a leadership level, like become an executive officer as a rank and file member, uh, form committees around different political actions, or you know I've seen like in UFCW Local 5 they have like a women's committee where all the women in UFCW 5 that want to participate get together and I don't know, do stuff that women's committees do. I've never been in one. It's probably pretty fun. But that kind of stuff, members don't necessarily have access to the creation of those types of things. Those things would come from the business side of the local. And if we were to like tap into the union, say all of us in the UFCW decided that we wanted to get involved, decided that we wanted to uh, go to our union and engage with our union rep, like in Reading or like in our area, for example, there's probably like 750 union members, potentially, that we have spread across all of our stores and across all of the different retail locations, grocery stores, cannabis locations, pharmacies, rest in peace, that are probably going to be going bankrupt soon, and different things like that. Close to 750 members up in our area. We have an office that's open on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 8 hours each. So there's 16 hours of office time available in local Reading for you to go physically to the union office and talk to your union rep. If you have a question, you can call and leave a message, but if you wanted to go and engage physically with your union in the physical space that the union gives you to do it, you've got that time. If we all wanted to do that, he would need to crank through us in 47 people per hour. We'd all get about 1 minute and 27 seconds with him. And by the end of it, I don't know what we would have gained from the process. Chances are we would all have had very similar or the same questions, and they would have been spaced out across however many members that are there to engage and ask the question. So there's got to be a way to capture that member energy that is better than what the service model provides. And anytime that you see those unions doing better than that, it's because they've moved into something like more regular meeting memberships. Like, there are some locals and some unions that have monthly meetings, for example, in physical spaces, but do still have a business model or a service model as their kind of backing throughout their union. But because they've moved into in that direction specifically with communicating in members on a monthly basis, that gives that kind of release valve for members that do want to participate, that doesn't create that bottleneck that exists within the service union if you don't have things like abundant staffing. Like, the point of what I was just saying was that, especially in our situation, there's not enough staff to even accommodate members that do want to participate. It would be very easy for us to quickly overwhelm our union rep and fill his plate if we were to actively all just, go to him with all of this stuff that we've been working on and trying to get going, and trying to take action on with the buttons and all that kind of stuff. Like, it, and in all honesty, I have been doing that to kind of make that point. I've been sending those emails, I've been making those phone calls, I've been expressing that, because those types of actions become infinitely easier and more powerful when you tap into your membership who's out there doing, like, wanting to do these activities. And when you plug them into your union throughout the entire operation, they take ownership and all that stuff and pride and all that kind of stuff, and they drive it harder than people that are kind of on the outside, quote unquote, being asked to perform these tasks in service of, those who it directly impacts, things like button campaigns that have a true solidarity building aspect to this contract campaign that we're fighting, and was a specific ask of our union leadership to get done. So just wanted to cover that and just say that, don't be scared of this kind of stuff. It's not scary. It's all open for discussion. So I think it's worth exploring. If you're a member that wants to get involved in the union, I feel like it's the easiest way for the most of us to get involved. There's another way. There's other ways. In service unions, I've seen that the best way to get involved if that's what you're interested in, is to just drink the union Kool-Aid and do whatever it is that the union staff and leadership asks you to do, and your loyalty will be rewarded. That seems to be the best way into that group. And I don't know, say what you will about it. That's not necessarily, I think the more of us that are able to get involved, the better, but that's my personal opinion. So with that, let's roll into some of our social media stuff, and we'll get the agenda cracking. And real quick, just on all the social media stuff, we gained a person in the Discord server. Welcome, new person to the Discord server. I actually think it's our new brother from the Sacramento store, 190, who's jumped in recently and will be at the membership meeting. So that's actually, note that, Gina will be having a +1. We'll be getting to meet a new person from down there. That's cool. Anyway, shout out to the new member there in the Discord server. We got 5 new followers on the Instagram page, dude. What's up? 3 new people on Facebook, 2 new people on YouTube, and we lost 2 people on TikTok. Anyways, social media, it's a great way to interact with At What Cost. We have all of those things I just mentioned, the Discord servers where these meetings happen, but then it spreads out to everywhere else that we can get it out to. If you use a social media platform that you didn't hear there and you want to make an At What Cost social media platform, go right ahead. It's not anything that anybody owns or anything, so feel free to do whatever you want. But those are some places that you can engage and interact with us. If you happen to be watching this video or listening to it through the YouTube channel, the links to all those different social media platforms are in the channel description, so you can find them there. And that's that for that. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that? Just jump in anytime and say whatever you got to say. But social media's been pretty chill. I will say that the worker-to-worker videos and stuff that are going up on the YouTube channel have been pretty fun. And stay tuned, because we've been meeting some really cool people, and I've been scheduling different episodes of those, and those will be coming out soon. So if you want to hear me and maybe some other people talking to union members, just rank and file union members, in conversation about the differences in their union in comparison with each other, highly recommend checking that out. They're a lot of fun to do, but I think they offer a lot of valuable insight into each other's workplaces, not only to highlight the differences, but also to kind of show honestly, how horrible these companies treat all of us. It's wild how you would think that different states and different companies and stuff, but it's nope, same exact problems, man. We're all getting exploited. So there's power to highlighting that. Next up on the agenda, we've got contract updates. Safeway and Raley's are in active negotiation, and shout out to the Raley's contract update. Okay, not a shout out to it, but they got an update. Raley's on yesterday. I missed it. I usually check this every day, but for some reason I didn't look yesterday. And I don't know, Jake, are you guys getting text messages for contract updates? Did you guys get a text message for this yesterday?
Yeah, I got a text message. I think it was maybe the day before yesterday, an email.
Cool.
Came through. Basically the same thing. It was just like a link to that same page.
Okay, and it's like one of the Nothing Burger updates, just basically saying we're in early negotiations and here's the next date, right? So that's cool. It's interesting. I would like to pay closer attention to it, but this is some very standard, just moving through the motions, and nothing special coming out of UFCW 5 or anything. So I'm not talking bad on anybody, but it's just such an unexciting cookie cutter tap 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 tap, and we have no insight into it, so it's hard to even speak on it anymore. But I guess that's one of the things we're trying to fix, because that sucks. I would like to know what's going on in that room. It would be nice to have a little more information on the other side of all of those. And I think we leave a lot on the table by not, being open and transparent about what's going on in there with the membership. So anyways, not too much of an update. We're still on a day-to-day extension for everybody. I mean, this is up and down the West Coast. Raley's has got their next negotiation dates on the 13th. As far as we know, our leadership could be in the room negotiating right now. We had negotiations for Safeway contract on the 8th and the 9th. So that's currently ongoing. No update on that yet, but as soon as we get an update, we'll let everybody know, and we'll help spread the word. But shout out to UFCW leadership. It feels like they've been pretty on the ball with getting the updates at least out through the emails and the text messages. I will say, for those of you who have been hanging out with us since the beginning and experienced the Save Mart contract, that was not the case, and that was not the experience that the Save Mart employees were having. So kudos to UFCW Local 8 staff for pushing their foot down on the gas when it comes to getting information out to the membership. I will commend that. The button campaign, dude, and I can only speak for my store. I'm guessing, I don't know how it's looking out in your stores, but in our store, buttons are on, dude. I see them everywhere. Everybody's rocking their buttons. I wear them. I got a name tag magnet back. I wear mine above my name tag every day, and I've started to see them on everybody. Shout out to Kevin in our store. He's been handing them out, and I've heard him on the sales floor telling people to get their buttons on as he's pushing his .com cart around. So that's a good position if anybody's in the grocery store working on their button campaign. If you've got your .com department, they're great eyes to have that are just circling the store constantly all day, so they can be the button auditors out there. I've seen them on people's hats. I've seen them on people's knee pads. I've seen them on people's headsets, on the wire for the headset for the radios that everybody wears. Those are spots that are put them in a place where it's a little easier to remember, so you don't have to try to get it like on your shirt every day, for example. So if you're having trouble remembering it, I would recommend doing something like that. But it is cool to see. Are you guys seeing them out there, like in your stores? Anybody that's been going through the Safeway button campaign?
At 273, we've been working on them. There's some on the table in the break room. There's also one in a container. And then as I'm walking around during the day, I give away mine to people that I see without one. I say, "Oh, you don't have a button? Here, take mine." And then I'll go get another one and put it on.
Yeah, I keep my pocket with them too, and I pass them out if I don't see one with them on.
Yeah, that's it. I like the giving the button off of like yourself. There's like the solidarity aspect of everybody wearing their buttons. I think there's another piece of it too where it's like oh, you don't have one, here's mine. That is think about that in principle when it comes to anything, your last sandwich or your whatever, like that is the type of solidarity that we're trying to build. And it's silly to see it in buttons, but we've talked in the past about structure tests and the importance of escalating actions and moving kind of up the escalating action mountain towards what would be the ultimate action, which is a strike. And it's very hard to pull off a strike if you don't have those bonds of solidarity built and strong. So these things like button campaigns, they matter. And I think, in my opinion, that when like the bosses like John Micheletti comes around in Local 8, and when they're out there and they're looking, it's to see, like, when you throw out a button campaign, execution on that determines the solidarity structure of your union. And if you do nothing on your side to promote or push or execute that campaign, but then you go out in the stores and you see them everywhere, something's going on, right? So you can kind of gauge. It's a way to kind of test and see without having to interact and talk to anybody. Thought that was pretty interesting. But we're buttoned up. It would be really interesting to see down in the Chico area if they're all buttoned up, like if we cruised down there and just took a lap through the stores, because as far as I know, unless I'm wrong and somebody hit me up and let me know, but I'm not sure that there's anybody in Chico interacting with At What Cost. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any pictures or anything like that, or been having any direct conversations with any of the Chico members. And part of that's on me for not continuing to reach out and just kind of hunkering down and doing what we've been doing. So I will definitely admit to like needing to get out more and get into those stores more and make sure we stay connected. You guys know how hard it is to do this even in your own shop. So um, there is that, but it would be interesting to see if they're all buttoned up, if everybody's rocking the campaign. Because if not, maybe I'm not saying yay or nay or whatever, but maybe there is a benefit or an impact to what we've been doing and at what cost, and these conversations that we've been having and these connections that we've been making, and going into an area where we don't have any presence and seeing if they're rocking buttons or not rocking buttons would be, I think, a direct indicator. I mean, there could be other variables at play. You could have a rep that's like just super into buttons and one that like super hates them, has like a button phobia or something. There could be other variables. I don't know, but that'd be kind of neat, interesting, something to think about. So maybe we should plan a Chico trip soon. Wink, wink, wink. Moving on, does anybody have anything to add about the contracts? I did want to just reiterate that like right now and like coming into June when Local 7 passes their 100-day suspension that they're on for their extension, our like the entire Western region is going to be in no contract, extended contract territory across every major grocery store. So it's a pretty pivotal moment for us, and we have a lot to gain, but we also have a lot to lose. So eyes up, AWC. And that's all I got for contracts. Unless anybody's got anything they want to talk about contract related, we can move on. All right, save it for after Mike. General membership meeting is announced. I don't know. Everybody should have got their Voice of Action magazine, which was a special edition. Dude, this thing was legit. You guys saw this? Had like Jocks Fox had Jocks FAQs answering all the questions about what it means to go on strike and what the bargaining process is all about. It was like, man, there's a lot of members out there with a lot of questions. We better put out this special edition Voice of Action. I've never seen anything like that. I thought it was pretty cool. I actually thought it answered like a lot of questions, but it also like announced a general membership meeting that is right around the corner. It's next Thursday, 8 o'clock, same old stomping grounds, 9th Street in Sacramento. It sounds like we have like at least 12 or 13 people confirmed already. And then knowing about another, I guess 14, since I just remembered that our new friend from Sacramento is going to be going, almost 15 people. And that's awesome. Like if we continue to add to the amount of people that go to the membership meetings every time they have a membership meeting, like Tony's mentioned, like, well, if nobody goes, then let's just have the minimum amount of membership meetings we have to have because nobody's here and who cares. And that over years and years and years and years creates a situation where when we all of a sudden start going, it's a major inconvenience because these guys are used to just pencil whipping and then going and doing whatever they actually do when we're not around. So I totally get that whole concept. So if we keep growing and we keep going and more people keep going, it obviously sends a message that members are trying to participate, and we'll see what our staff does in response to it. Maybe they'll roll out local meetings. Maybe they'll start doing something like what Local 5's doing, where they still have their quarterly general membership meetings in downtown Sacramento on Thursdays at 8 o'clock every few months. But they also do an online informational meeting, and they post it to their YouTube channel, or they have a Zoom call that everybody can join and ask questions on. That's separate from that quarterly meeting, and it's its own thing that they can make sure like they don't let out any company secrets or any union secrets or whatever. And who knows? But if members keep participating and members keep getting involved and members keep showing up, I mean, at the very least, they're going to have to get a bigger room. I mean, we've almost tapped this room out, right? So that's awesome. 15 people going. I have an idea. I have an idea for this meeting, and but I want to talk about it on the after mic portion. So if you can make it to the after mic portion, cool. If you're planning on going to the meeting, you will get this information if it's something that we decide to do. But I have kind of an idea about how we should behave at this meeting, and it's probably the opposite of what you're thinking. I'm gonna say. And then also just a heads up at this meetup, and maybe we can talk about this right now, Jake. If you're still awake, I know you're struggling. I know you had to. Oh wait, you get tomorrow off, bro. You better be awake. Are we gonna meet up and eat beforehand again?
Yeah, I'm down. If you're asking me directly, yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense, and that way we could show up like pretty together
Yeah, should we
at the
go?
meeting.
Do you guys want to go to the same place, the Fox and the Goose, or do you guys
Yes, yes, we do. Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Jake, for bringing up that
Yes,
place.
please. Yes, please.
We
Dude.
100% support you, Jake.
So that I thought that place was awesome.
I love that place. Such a good atmosphere too, especially getting you like ready to go to the meeting and stuff.
Okay. All right, cool. So we'll meet there again. Let's just plan for the same time, like 6:00. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah,
Works
sure.
for us.
Yep, I'll be
Okay.
there.
Okay. If anybody changes or whatever, go ahead. But also, because there's going to be 15 of us, maybe we should try to potentially 15 of us. Maybe we should call ahead and try to arrange, or let them know at least that many of us are planning to show up.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
All right, sweet. And then just a heads up for everybody listening, we will have a special guest visitor. Caitlin from the Essential Workers for Democracy will be in Sacramento hanging out with us before we go to our meeting. And if anybody's around and wants to do anything after the meeting, she'll be hanging out. She'll be in Sacramento. So she wants to come kick it with us before the meeting, meet everybody that's going to the meeting. She can't come to the meeting, obviously, because she's not a member. She's an anarchist. but she's gonna be there to hang out with us, so that'll be cool. That's a little surprise there. And that's it. General membership meeting. That's cool. I'm looking forward to it. That's next week. I was almost gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't know if I can make this. I got a lot of stuff going on because Jacques gonna be there. Maybe Jacques Laval might be there. So I was getting a little nervous, and I was thinking about making up an excuse because so many other people were gonna be there. I even had this little side thought in my mind where it was like, maybe if I don't go, they'll take some of the heat off of me and stop blaming me for everything. But then I was like, yeah, of course I'm going, dude. Of course I'm going. every time I can, I'm gonna try to be there. It's the only thing we get to do with our union, so I'll be there. Anyways, anybody got any questions or anything about the general membership meeting? Same thing. I'm going to ask around if anybody's got anything to ask, and I'll tell everybody the same thing that union leadership told us when we were there. Why don't you just call the office or your rep yourself? And if you would still like to ask a question at the membership meeting, I'd be more than happy to ask it and bring the answer back to you. So if you see this and you have questions, you can hit me up and let me know, and we'll ask them. Moving on. We went to Stockton on Sunday. I can't believe it feels like a lifetime ago already. This week, for some reason, felt like a lifetime. But on Sunday, we were in Stockton for a full-day conference with the Teamsters, the TDU Educational Conference. It was the first one they'd done on the West Coast, I guess, in 19 years or something, they were saying at the start of it. So that was cool. A lot of the Teamsters from Stockton Local 439, the guys that we've linked up with, they're the Safeway warehouse drivers and the Save Mart warehouse drivers. They were there. It was cool as heck to meet. Oh, since 1990. Nice. Oh, dang, dude. Dang. Thanks for the correction, Jake. That's a long time. So, yeah, 35 years since TDU's been on the West Coast. So we got to go hang out with them. We got invited by, like I said, our brothers in Stockton Local 439. They reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to participate. So a group of us, 4 of us, went down to Stockton and did the whole day conference there. We got to do 2 workshops, eat lunch, hang out with a bunch of other union brothers and sisters from the UFCW and also the ILWU. That is the Longshoremen Union. We got to meet Gabrielle. Shout out Gabrielle. I know you're watching this. And link up with her. She works out at the Oakland ports with the longshoremen out there, as a dock worker, and that was cool to get to meet her. And we got to meet Wolf, who's a UPS driver, in one of our classes, and talk a lot about how we can bring the union to our members. That was one of the workshops that we took, bringing the union to your members. And for the people that were there and taking the class and seeing it, they got to see kind of a lot of what we've been doing here in At What Cost, and that's where a lot of that stuff came from, was those labor notes conferences and the TDU conference that I got the luxury of going to in Chicago in November. And it's that type of education that when you're like, a part of an organizing model union, it's foundational within that union to provide that education to the members, because the members are involved in such vital functions and operations of your union that they need that education, right? So it's incumbent upon you to give it to them so that they can do things for your union that help build strength. So when I'm talking about going to TDU or going to the Teamsters or like this TDU Stockton conference, it's not to like glaze the Teamsters. Like there's Teamsters that are not cool. There's closed local Teamsters that are business union brand, just like Local 8 and 99.9% of the UFCW locals. So to not even dogpile on Local 8, I just picked that because it's the one I'm in. But it's the TDU organizing model that I'm talking about. I say Teamsters all the time because those are that's the union that has really embraced it and like kind of plowed into it. And quite frankly, like the Teamsters are like loud and proud about it. So when you look out into the national landscape for labor stuff, like when you're like me and you're like trying to look out there for it, the Teamsters just keep popping up over and over and over again because they're organizing everywhere, they're striking everywhere, they're just out there aggressively being a union. So it seems like it's like, like Sean O'Brien's like the GOAT or whatever, but it's not. We've talked about this a lot, and I reiterate it often, and I think about it often because we have to be very cognizant of it so we don't fall victim to it, especially in these times. Is that there's no hero, there is no person, there is no Moses coming to part the Red Sea and lead us to labor salvation. It is incumbent upon all of us as rank and file members to put in the work and do the things and participate where we can, link in with each other, build solidarity, move our union in a direction that we feel makes it the strongest union it can possibly be through all the rules and bylaws that we have access to do such things. That is what's going to happen. No one is going to show up, and I'm going to start talking about somebody in a little bit, and I'm going to be speaking very positively of this person. That's why I'm saying this right now. That person is not the savior, and now we all get to kick back and put up our feet because he has risen to lead us to the promised land. Like that's not what this is. So just a reminder there that like this workshop was amazing. These people that we met were amazing. That doesn't mean they get a blanket pass on everything. And there were straight up Teamsters in that workshop. And I think Jake and I were talking to somebody where it was like, yo, Sean O'Brien doesn't just get a blanket green light on TDU is about member democracy. Just because Sean O'Brien came up through TDU doesn't mean that he's the infinite GOAT and they're going to just side with him no matter what. In fact, there's major splits happening within the Teamsters right now around that. So TDU is focused on member democracy and making sure every member has a voice. Their claim to fame is direct elections in the Teamster Union, and that's why their membership was able to elect the leader that they felt was the one that was going to do the best for them. And if they change their mind as a body in the Teamsters, then the leadership body will change, and that's the power of direct elections. But the other workshop we did was real quick, shout out to Ramiro. Ramiro's been really helpful in posting our content in the Facebook groups, Save Mart Past and Present, Safeway Past and Present, etc. He's got a lot of friends out there. He's been talking very highly of the stuff that we're doing, and we got to meet him there at the conference. So something that gets talked about a lot is the networking and stuff, and it really is, like, especially like this when we're all hanging out all the time online. When you get to go to a place in person and actually get to meet some of the people that you've been talking to, it's really awesome. So shout out to Ramiro real quick before I forget and start talking about the classes that we took. But the other class that we took was trying to win a contract campaign, basically, which is like the idea is like rallying your union members around like an idea that you think is like a winnable thing in your contract. And if you don't know as a membership body what everybody wants in their contract, you don't even know what kind of a campaign to rally around. Everybody listening, I know everybody in this room right here, they took both surveys probably. The official survey, the official UFCW survey, and the unofficial one. So they know the difference in the questions that were asked and the way they were asked. And the unofficial one was done that way on purpose. It was very intentionally structured to be open so that members had a chance to think about the things they wanted. But from that came really interesting crossovers and similarities that I don't think we would have realized people wanted unless we had that conversation. One of those was like a 3-week lead time on your schedule coming out. Like, everybody wanted more time to plan their life and didn't feel like getting their schedule on Thursday for the following week. 3-day notice on your next day's work was enough time to plan their life around anything. A contract campaign would be getting all of your members to rally around that issue and push for that to be something that gets included on your next contract. And we learned about things like escalating actions and marches on the boss and petitions and even potentially strikes as tools that we have as union members to execute on those contract campaigns successfully and get those things in our contracts. All extremely valuable information. So it was an awesome workshop. I had a great time. A lot of the stuff was the stuff that we've been talking about. But I know specifically for Gina and Jenica, it was the first time that you guys got to go to like a physical like workshop classroom environment like that. And I was hoping that maybe if you guys wanted to, that you can kind of share your experience and what you thought of it. And if you guys think that it's something that would have value for all of our members to have access to.
I was very impressed with the camaraderie that was there with everyone. I mean, they had not only the Teamsters, they allowed us in, they also had the longshoremen there. They, were very welcoming, and the information that they were putting out was very specific and very interesting. I really had a good time. I had a really good time the night before it, though, too. So,
Yeah, I really liked it. I love how it wasn't like this is, oh, you guys are welcome in here. We're only allowing you guys here for this reason or whatever. It was very much brothers and sisters across the board. It didn't matter where you came from, what union you were in. It was representative of everybody, which I really appreciate. That. And yeah, like some things were geared towards like when they do like the parking lot meetings, we don't really have the option because we all come in at different times and stuff like that. But the meaning and the symbolism behind it, how you can gather together just to meet up with somebody, I like that. Even though it didn't fit us personally, there's ways you can use it. They gave us so many options of ways to make it where we can come together and you can transfer information back and forth so no one feels alone or left out, which I wish our union hopefully one day will become as strong in that way, where we want to meet each other where they are instead of making us have to come to them for every little thing. Let's come together. Let's find a meeting place in between, which I appreciated that they did that. And they were so knowledgeable and they were willing to share that knowledge with everybody.
I also found it very interesting that um, not only is Safeway UFCW, Safeway is also Teamsters. You know, you tend to forget that those truck drivers that are bringing stuff in and the guys in the warehouse aren't with us in our union. They are a Teamster and they're a different union. And it was really good to hear their perspective and the things that they go through as well.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and I that sentiment that you guys just spoke on, which was like the camaraderie in the room, like take away the facilitators in the class and the information that was being presented, the conversation that was being had like across the room, like notice like whenever somebody had something to say, they almost like turned like towards the class, right, and like said it, or towards the group, and like said it to like all their brothers and sisters. It's like there's this idea of like, here's what I've learned in my X amount of years with the Teamsters. And that's another thing, is that those guys, the Teamsters, man, they take so much pride in their seniority, how much time they have in as Teamsters, and the respect that comes back at them from the youngsters, or the newbies. And the youngsters is like not an age reference, it's a seniority reference, like no joke. It's like time in the Teamsters, right? um, it's like, dude, you can like feel it. You can feel it in the air. And like Jenica and Gina were saying, it is not exclusionary. It's not like, dude, I made a joke about it, and it happens every time. Uh, it's funny because the Teamsters have a certain look to them. They're truck drivers, they're warehouse workers, they're the opposite of me. They're like very like burly, like masculine, like men, and in our area, it tends to also go with like a certain type of like an attitude and an ideology and a mindset. And I love like going to TDU, being around TDUers, because it's the opposite, dude. It's like, it's this big dude, and he's just like, "What's up, brother? It's so good to see you. Let me tell you what I learned about parking lot meetings." And you're just like, "What? This is amazing." So shout out to all the Teamsters. It's an awesome group. I mean, they talked about joining. They have a political action committee. Basically, it's not that, because that involves like funneling money into politics, but they have a politics committee, and I want to bring it up because I thought it was really cool. It's called Drive, and that stands for Democrat, Republican, Independent Voter Education. And I remember listening to the guy talk about it and how important it is to get involved in it. And hearing that it was like this, like, no, non-biased. These are the policies. This is how it hurts the Teamsters. This is how it helps the Teamsters. Like that idea, that mindset. Why don't we have more stuff like that? More special interest groups, more action groups, down at the local level. We'll talk about it a little bit later on this next section here, but it's because that our international wants all of our dues money. They don't want to use it for any type of action organizing down at the local level. They like to funnel it up into the big political machine, and we saw how well that worked out. Anyway, TDU recap. Jake, you were there. Do you have anything to add, bro? I know that wasn't your first in-person educational workshop, but I don't know if you've had the opportunity to do any of the TDU stuff. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that before I move on?
I think what you're talking about, the certain look that you're talking about, was a Teamster jacket and shorts. Yeah. That was that certain look.
It's true, dude.
That's what they all
It's true.
wear.
It's like wearing shorts, but then you've got this like sick ass like Teamster jacket. It's got all these like dude. Some of those guys had like the pins on them, dude. You could just tell like there's carrots in that pin, dude. I can tell. Uh, Really nice pins on those Teamster jackets.
But no, all in all, I had a great time. Is yeah, like the educational part of it. Really, you always gonna learn a little something new, but it's really the same. The information is like a saturation type of thing. I mean, it's just a lot of it's the same stuff we keep talking about, but the networking part of it is really where it's at. Is actually meeting these people, seeing people again. Is really Tyler.
Yeah.
like seeing people in different parts of the country. Like it's a good feeling. It's a feeling of progress.
Yeah, it definitely. We talked about it afterwards when we left, but it always seems to it fills the tank, dude. Like when you're banging your head against something that feels impossible because you're kind of in like the belly of the beast, where it really does feel impossible. There's a lot of forces working against you. To kind of step out into a movement where it's just all possibilities. Hey, here's all the things to help make it possible. And forget all that. And don't even like, hey, they're not shooting at you with guns. Hey, it's not like this. Hey, they're not beating you with billy clubs like it used to be worse. You got this. Keep going. Stand up. It's really refreshing. And it speaks to the power of the labor movement as a whole. And when we talk about the 2028 general strike, that networking, those bonds, those phone numbers that we exchange, that's how we're going to make it happen. So shout out to the Teamsters for inviting us. That was badass. I hope one day be able to invite other union members and our own union members into educational conferences that are being conducted by the UFCW for the benefit of their membership, and for one day for other unions that are looking for ways to engage their unions. They'll find us and they'll engage with us, and we'll be there, and with that same level of pride. It's pride and ownership of our unions. And I would challenge anybody out there to tell me how you can get that level of pride without that level of ownership. And I'm like I'm having chills in my body right now because that epiphany just kind of hit me. But it is literally that every person in that room owned their union to the full 100%. It wasn't a pie that was divided amongst them. They were all full owners of their union, and you could feel it. And I'm excited for the next one. I look forward to every chance I get to interact in that kind of an environment, regardless of where it's coming from. And I hope one day it's coming from us. Next up, this one's a doozy, dude. I got to shut down the agenda. This is why I printed it out, because now we're moving into these tabs. And this meeting's a banger. This meeting's going long. I'm so glad it's transcripted. I know Tony's going to have to go to work soon. I'm sorry, my brother. But the transcripts in the YouTube channel with the timestamps, being able to jump around is very helpful. But this is a big one. So, International President is retiring. If you have not had a chance to watch the UFCW members demand the right to vote, it's an Essential Workers for Democracy webinar. It is on their YouTube channel. I'm going to post a link here for the people that are in the chat and the Discord. Send that to every person that you work with. This is worth watching because it explains the election process at the UFCW International level, because Mark Perone is going to announce his retirement, and at the same time, the UFCW is going to announce the appointee for who is going to take his place. So what has been happening, just to kind of briefly summarize this for the sake of our meeting, and the reason I pulled this up on my screen, you guys can see my screen right now. This is just a slide, one of the slides that Caitlin covered during the conversation. When Mark Perone was put in place as international president, he stopped spending money, he stopped organizing, and he stopped funding strikes. And this is the pile of cash that the international now sits on. We send a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars every year to the international, and I would challenge you to tell me what the international union has done. I don't know. We don't know. They don't show. But this cash pile is growing and growing and growing and sitting and sitting and sitting, because under the business model, you're basically a capitalist corporation. Profit numbers go up, union be successful, we all win, cha-ching, cha-ching. This is what has happened to the UFCW cash reserves. Exciting news is, if anybody were to ever decide that they wanted to do something with that money, it's there. And, during this call, we did things. There was over 60 people on the call. It was a great call in terms of participation. There were people from UFCW locals all over the country. I can't even begin to list off the numbers. I was reading them off in the chat at the beginning. Spoiler alert, I got to kind of chair this call. I thought I was going to just be sharing my story, but it turned into a little bit more of a speaking, kind of like emceeing the call. But all of this information that she shared is all in the service of this idea that union members deserve a vote when it comes to these times, these major elections like this international election. And the way that they've won those in other unions is through a proposal called one member, one vote. And it means that every individual member gets to place a vote, just like you do in your local political election, in the national political election. In fact, you fill out a mail-in ballot just like you do for a presidential election if you do mail-in ballots, and you mail it in, and then your vote is cast, and whoever wins the vote is the person that gets to be in that position. That's how that process works. That's one member, one vote. We don't have that in our union. We use an appointeeship, and in times where we're not in an election season. So that's what's happening right now. The international president is being replaced by somebody who's appointed by the executive board. It's a 55-member all the vice presidents at the international level. They're holding votes within the conclave, the secret cave. They're holding votes for who they would like to appoint. At the delegate convention in 2028, there will be an election, and the delegates from each local get to vote for who they want to be the international president at that time. Historically, this is how it's always happened in the UFCW. There has never been a direct election, and there has never been an election that occurred without a appointee already being put into power beforehand. So it creates a situation where if you would like to take out the international president because you disagree with them, you have to go against the person that everybody appointed into power in the union. So that has never happened. The person who has been appointed has always gotten to keep their post historically. So we are in that situation right now. That's happening right now. On the 13th and the 14th, the UFCW is probably going to make that announcement along with who the appointee is. The reason that the essential workers did this workshop was to shine light on the fact that this is the moment, this is the time when members would want one member, one vote. But because we don't have any levers to pull, we don't have any way to right now currently actively make that happen, that we're in this position that we're in. So a lot of steps to take action, a lot of things you can do. They have a campaign going right now. Some of you guys have already participated in it. You can go to their website and very easily fill out an email that goes to the local president. So if you're in Local 8, this email goes to Jacques Laval, and it tells Jacques Laval that we want one member, one vote in our local. He doesn't have to do anything with that, but it does at least send the message that members are paying attention and they want to play a more active role in selecting future leaders in their union. So that's one thing that's happening. And in this workshop, again, this is where it gets like really killer. This is a gentleman who was a founding member, a part of the early UAWD caucus, which is the reform movement within the auto workers union. These guys pulled it off. They got it in their union. They got direct elections. He talks about the contract they won. He talks about the contracts they refused to take, the proposals that they refused to give in on. These old-timers sticking, and I mean old-timers as in like high seniority, sticking up for the younger generation, removing tiers from their contract, meaning if we're doing the same work, we're getting the same pay, but we're not taking a pay cut. You're coming up to us. Adam has shared the auto workers contract, the UAW contract, in our Discord server numerous times. I think he's also posted it in the Facebook page. It's a beautiful contract. You should look at it. All gains, no losses. The auto worker contract was awesome. We got to hear from him. That was this is like, these are the conversations where it's like, okay, these are the people who've made it happen. These are the unions that have already done it. This is Connor. Connor is from UFCW Local 7. He's a rank and file member, but he is on the bargaining committee, so he's actively negotiating in the negotiating room. And he talks about the role that the international union plays in the negotiating process. He tells a story about international negotiators sitting in the room, not participating in negotiations, just taking notes. UFCW Local 7 comes to an impasse to the point where they're ready to walk away from the table and potentially call a strike because of the company's refusal to bargain in good faith. This is King Super, by the way. This is the strike that I got to participate in. When they leave the room and say that the company's not bargaining in good faith, that's the that leads to the potential to call an economic strike. What has been happening, and this is where it gets a little messed up, is the international union is then going behind closed doors with the company, getting the company to change a sentence or two in the contract, which makes the contract a new proposal, which means that because they put a new proposal on the table, Local 7 is compelled to come back to the table and continue bargaining. That type of manipulation happens at the international level, even against, and the reason Connor was on this call is because he's from Local 7. He is in an open and reformed and transparent local. Remember how much information we were able to get from Kim Cordova when she was putting out the Facebook videos, when she was talking about all their bargaining updates that were going on, when inviting us to the bargaining table, telling us where it was, the physical location, any member is invited. Even still, the international has the ability to manipulate and control from their level by interfering with the will of the membership. Because we don't have this structure, that Local 7 structure, doesn't go all the way up to the international level. So one member, one vote, direct elections, it gives members the ability to put leadership in place that does support that type of thing. Sam and Enrique talked about their experience going to the Constitutional Convention. They shared their story. We've shared it in here numerous times, so I won't spend too much time on it. I highly recommend you watch this. But basically, they went to the Constitutional Convention in 2023, and they tried to pass proposals at the international level for things like first day strike pay, one member, one vote, $250,000 salary caps on officers, and all of those proposals were not only voted down, they were booed and laughed at the convention, and nothing passed. Why? I don't know. Every member that I've ever talked to, every person I've ever spoken to, with the exception of union staff, has said that they would like first day strike pay. So I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because there's not members in that room voting on those proposals. Those delegates are staff members. They're not rank and file members. And the very few rank and file members that are there are very disincentivized to vote against their staff members. And then we got to meet Dan, and Dan is like a founding member of TDU. So this guy is like 1970s Teamster through and through. Like me, like we think we know what it's like to live on planet Earth. This guy knows that about being a Teamster and having to fight against the Hoffa regime and the suppression that occurred within the Teamsters. And I think it's part of the reason, excuse me, Dan's story and what those Teamsters went through in the foundation of TDU and what they had to fight for. And he talks fight like literal violence because of the mob mentality that existed in the Teamsters at the time. It might speak to now that they have ownership of their union and that they take such pride in that, and they have such a vicious grasp on that ownership. Like, I don't think the Teamsters would ever give it up. And listening to Dan talk and tell his story, you see that in that conversation. And he also kind of gives us a call, gives us a shout out, not at what cost, but us, the labor movement in the UFCW, Central Workers for Democracy, across the entire UFCW right now, telling us that we're on the right path. Have courage. Do not be discouraged, dissuaded. You are doing the right thing. Power to the members is the right way to go. Keep fighting, keep going, and yada, yada, yada. So anyways, quick recap of that. That was an awesome meeting. If anybody had a chance to watch that and has anything they would like to add, go ahead and speak up now. But if you haven't, I highly recommend you check it out. All right. So coming up next, a new fighter has entered the arena. A new fighter appears. Did you play Super Smash Brothers? Todd Crosby, following the Essential Worker Workshop basically announcing that Mark Perone was retiring because nobody's announced it. Nobody will ever announce it. It won't be announced until it's over. Following that, a gentleman by the name of Todd Crosby put out a website called UFCW for Todd, and he's putting his name in the running for UFCW International President. He would like to be appointed in this appointership. If he doesn't get appointed, which is highly unlikely that he does get appointed because there's a good chance that they've already got the person they want picked. But if he doesn't get appointed, I believe his goal is to run for international president for UFCW in 2028. Now, Todd Crosby has been around in the UFCW for a long time. He started in 1988 and worked his way up. He was the local president of UFCW 3000. After that, he became the organizing director for the international. And he has currently been working in UFCW Local 770. And he's been involved in a lot of the bargaining that the UFCW has been doing in these grocery contracts. So a lot of the rank and file members that are involved in bargaining at 770, 324, 3000, Local 7, they know Todd Crosby. They've had a chance to meet him and interact with him. He's this tall gentleman here. I got to meet Todd out on the strike line in Denver. He came out with Faye Gunther, the president of 3000, and I saw him interacting with members, checking on the workers, talking to everybody that he came in contact. Did not speak to him very much, but did get to meet him. Obviously, had no idea who he was or anything. It was just one of the people that I was meeting when I was meeting Faye and Kim and all of them. But I remember him because he's very tall, and I'm not. But the thing that stands out about Todd, so he's running on the organizing model platform, top to bottom. What he's saying, I mean, here's what it is. You can go to ufcwfortodd.com and check it out for yourself. Sign up put your email in, and get updates from this website. But I'm just going to read this for the people who have their phones in their pockets. If appointed, I pledge to immediately call for an open process so the members get a say in who runs their international. Anyone seeking a top office in our union should pledge the same. How can we claim to represent members if we don't trust them to decide? So what he came out and said right now in this little window of time, this is, first of all, very courageous. This would be considered a career killer, quite honestly. The old regime, you'll never move anywhere up within the old regime with this type of rhetoric, and his courage I stand behind because I believe in what I'm about to read to you as his platform. What he's saying right here is that if he gets the appointment, like if for some reason they decide to choose him, he is going to make sure that one member, one vote, direct member elections will be happening in 2028. So that's a man who's saying that if you give me the power right now, in 3 years when it's time for this actual election to occur, the president will be decided by the people. So very bold statement to say coming out the gate. It's basically, if you appoint me, I will change the way that the UFCW operates from the top, very highest level immediately. Some of the highlights he's got here on his website, you can check it out. But real quick on his about page where his history is, this is his platform. He believes in one member, one vote. He believes in first day strike pay. Coordinated national bargaining. That's all of us, all of our locals bargaining against Albertsons, the company. So all union Albertsons employees against Albertsons, the company, at the same time. National bargaining is how you get a contract like the UPS contract, because the threat of strike for the entire company is so great that they have to respect our right to fair pay. Rank and file bargaining teams, that's rank and file members being allowed on bargaining. Investing in organizing, growing our union, and standing up to greedy corporate monopolies. So Todd was a foundational a big part of the linking all these locals together for the Stop the Merger campaign that did end up successfully crushing the Kroger-Albertsons attempted mega monopoly merger. So keeping monopolies out of the industry is something that he's also passionate about, and something I think we don't talk about enough, as it's, it's going to continue to be an enemy that we have to fight against, is that consolidation of the industries and seek of higher profits. So anyways, Todd Crosby, what's up with that? That's pretty cool. I think that it's something that everybody should look into, take a closer look at. I straight up asked when I saw this website, when I heard about it from Kathleen down in 770. So Kathleen, shout out to you down in 770. She hit me up. It's really funny. Tony and I were joking about it because there's 2 times when the Discord's most active, and that's when a night crew is up and getting ready, and then when the morning crew is up and getting ready. So like around 9 p.m. and 3 to 4 a.m., the Discord starts kind of popping off a little bit. But Kathy and I both work early mornings, so we're getting ready for morning at the same time. So Kathleen and I have been talking, and she let me know about Todd Crosby and his announcement for all of this. And I went to the essential workers, and I just straight up said, tell me right now, be transparent. Are you guys like just are you just back there masterminding all of this, and you've like had this all lined up? Because this seems like too crazy. And Caitlin told me, not believe her or not, it's up to you guys, but Caitlin told me straight up, she knows Todd. She's obviously worked with him in 3000. She had no idea he was planning to announce to run for this. But his platform and this organizing model platform, it's not radical. It seems radical to us in 8, but the more you hear about it and the more you see it everywhere in this movement, these kind of serendipitous moments, they just keep coming up. But that's cool. Keep your eyes on that. Stay tuned there. And we'll talk more about that actually right up. Like that's where we're going next with all this. So the essential workers have decided to jump all over this situation, and they've got a they're so funny. They're doing a presidential candidate forum. Basically, they put out an open invitation to all of the people who would like to be appointed or to run the UFCW International. And they're inviting them to an open forum on May 12th, 5:30 p.m. So I highly recommend you register for this. Basically, what they're saying is there's going to be members here. If you want to come and speak on what you believe the future of the UFCW looks like and what it would be under your leadership, this is your chance to do so. No person has to. No person is compelled to through any means other than wanting to discuss this with their membership. And quite honestly, none of us even knows who the people are that are interested in running the UFCW International. So we have no idea who might potentially be at this thing. With the exception of Todd Crosby. He has already confirmed that he will be here, and he is more than willing to speak to any members that show up and answer any questions they might have about his plans if he were to have the opportunity to lead the UFCW International. So if that's something that you think is awesome or interesting, it kind of blows my mind to think about that. Like, the idea that we might have an opportunity to speak to a person who could potentially be a future leader in the UFCW, and ask them questions directly and kind of pick their brains and see what they believe in, see what they stand for, ask them what their experience brings to the table. I mean, whatever you can think of. Check it out. So that's going to be coming up. And speaking about asking questions, if you go to the UFCW for Todd website, I'm going to backtrack for a second and go to his contact page. He just has like a straight up like, hey, do you have a question for Todd? Put your name in here and your email and write your question and press send. I tested this out today, and I will report back on the answer that I get. So I sent a question. We'll see what the process looks like, and we'll go from there. But back to this. So Todd Crosby has confirmed he'll be there to participate. I am going to be one of the panelists on this call, so I will be asking questions and helping get questions that are being asked by members in the chat to any of the candidates that decide to show up. And I'll keep everybody in the Discord. If I don't know if I'm going to get any information between now and Monday, but if I happen to hear from the essential workers about other candidates getting on board, I'll make sure to let everybody know. But highly recommend checking that out. It's going to be 5:30 p.m. on Monday, May 12th. That's like right around the corner. So heads up, that's coming. And shout out to the essential workers for jumping all over this opportunity to, organize more members around this concept and this idea. Give us a chance to interact with him in a forum, or them in a forum that is convenient for a large group of people to potentially participate. And, like I said at the very top of the call, if all 750 of us in Reading send one question at a time and 80 of those questions are the same, you probably should have just had a Zoom call, and when one person asked that question, the other 79 people would have got the answer that they needed, and you would have exponentially increased your ability to spread information. So shout out to essential workers for this candidate forum. It seems like a really good idea and a great way to put us in touch with what might be the future leaders of our union. So looking forward to meet them. Next up, cruising right along, labor notes. I love labor notes. Democracy is Power is one of the foundational books for me that helped me believe in a lot of these things and read through and understand and see some case studies and examples of it happening in the labor movement. A lot of the power and the benefit of the organizing model, and talking about these serendipitous moments. The author of Democracy is Power, who's since deceased, is a good friend of Dan Campbell, the founding member of TDU that I told you about on the UFCW call about Mark Perone's retirement. They were good friends, and a lot of those ideas and concepts were born out of the work that TDU did building that movement at its foundation. So shout out to Labor Notes, who put out Democracy is Power, publishes Democracy is Power, and an event coming up in June. We're talking about it now because I think that this would be an awesome thing for us to do together. I've already got somebody who's confirmed and paid for a ticket, and it's shout out to Paul. If you hear this, Paul, let me know, because I'm curious. I don't know if Paul participates in the meetings. I know he's not in the room right now, obviously, but I don't know if he listens to the YouTube channel. I don't know if he follows up on the Discord server. I have no idea. We don't really talk about it too much. But I mentioned this labor notes meeting, and he jumped on, bought a ticket, and is riding in my car. So that's awesome. And a testament to the idea that you never really know what it's going to be that gets somebody involved. But I'm excited for Paul to come and experience labor notes. They're doing a Bay Area Troublemaker school on June 14th. It's going to be an all-day seminar down in Oakland, similar to the TDU conference that we went to. But so let's start thinking about it now. Let's start planning it before it now. Get your request in now. It's probably not going to fall on one of your regular days off, but maybe it does. It's a Saturday. If that's the case, and if not, maybe ask for a floater or request it off. It would be super awesome to get a big group of us down to represent UFCW. The cool thing about labor notes is it's obviously not it's union agnostic. So all unions are going to be there, all different kind of workers from all different classes of jobs and different job classifications, industries, and all sectors. Tons of different unions there representing. So it would be awesome to go there representing UFCW, and at what cost, and getting to fly our colors and just show up. I don't know how many people are going to be there from the UFCW, but to link up with any other UFCW members that show up there, that would be really phenomenal. Catch you later, Tony. Thank you for hanging out. Sorry for the long meeting, bro. Appreciate having you. Have fun in the salt mines. But check out the workshops: beating apathy, turning an issue into a campaign, opening up bargaining, climate justice and labor, strikes, new organizing, race and labor, and more. So they've got some cultural and kind of societal, like this climate justice and labor, activism, more activism related classes. But then they've also got things like beating apathy, which that's the feeling that your union is weak or the members don't care, nobody wants to do anything, they're not coming to the meetings, they don't want to fix their job, that sounds like something that I would get a lot of value out of, so I'm interested in that. But we should check this out. I think this is something that would provide a lot of value to us. And again, in the same way that TDU gave us that opportunity to network and meet new people, this would do the same thing. So check that out. This is the Bay Area Troublemaker School at Labor Notes. You can find I'll create events for all this stuff, so it's in the Discord and easy to find. But the links have been posted up in the chat. If you type Labor Notes in the hall, you'll probably find it. And let's just fill cars and do things like we do anytime we drive anywhere. We'll get head counts.
Hello.
Fill cars and head that way. Sucks that you're not going to be able to make it, Gina, but that's okay. Strengthen. That's why more of us is better. Strength in numbers. So if one of us can't go, someone else is there getting the information.
She did today.
All right. Moving on. We're almost there. We're wrapping it up. So, organizing model versus the service model. I just want to make a quick comparison here also to point out that this isn't, again, this is not some radical idea. This is from the Massachusetts Nurses Association. A really good breakdown of the organizing and service model. I think anybody could use this to really clearly explain the differences. And I'm just going to say a couple of them, but you would feel them in our union. In a service model, bargaining is done by a small committee. Negotiations are kept secret until the settlement is reached. In an organizing model, you've got a large bargaining committee, and there's a constant flow of information and members. Organizing models encourage initiative and creativity of its members. Service or business models are reluctant to involve the membership in bringing pressure on the employee. Service models don't like organizing. They feel threatened by the newly organized. They often feel like a third party, someone outside the union. Usually stewards and leadership is appointed, not elected by the coworkers. Something I think would be really interesting for us, and people have different levels of management, but settling grievances, like in an organizing model where you guys have group solidarity on the shop floor, what happens is like you guys go to the boss and you make your complaint to the boss and you solve it in-house. In a service model, you're expected to go through the grievance process and move it up through the highest level of arbitration. All right, Jake, good talking to you, brother. Thank you for coming. You're expected to go through the arbitration process all the way, and think of all the money that's spent in HR, labor relations, your grievance coordinator meetings, etc. That's all money that should be in your wages. In an organizing model where everybody knows their contract and knows what's up, you go to the boss and you solve it that way, and you do escalating actions that could potentially lead to things like grievances or strikes. One thing that I thought was pretty cool is in Teamster contracts, they have grievance bounties. So, and anybody can file a grievance. So if you file a grievance, even if it's a grievance you witness happening to somebody else, you get a bonus, like a financial money bonus, as a bounty for catching that contract violation. Pretty cool. Oh, you're good. So I bring this up just because there's been some talk about the threat, the potential threat that's being felt by the people that are currently in UFCW Local 8 staff. And I would just remind them that the only reason that they would ever need to feel threatened is if they're unwilling to move from this column to this column. If you're not willing to move from here to here, we're going to try to vote you out, because we, the members, would like to move from this side to this side. And the only method we have to do that, other than asking you nicely, is to run against you in the only election we have, which is our local leadership election. So there is no inherent threat to the power of any person that's currently a member of UFCW staff. There is only threat to this model over here. If you, as a person that's currently a member of UFCW staff, has such a strong personal conviction to this type of union leadership, I don't know if you're going to survive the elections that are coming your way. That is just my 2 cents. I'm just a person that's observing this from an angle. But we're coming. And not just in Local 8. Like, there was a lot of people on that call that had a lot of really good ideas and got a lot of really good information. And that call's spreading. The views on that YouTube video are growing and growing. And all the content that we're putting out, like, little side note, kind of fun to have the YouTube channel because you can see all the analytics, but almost 60 hours of At What Cost content has been watched since we've started putting that up there. So when we get on here and we talk to each other and we have these conversations, 60 hours, a full-time job plus a part-time job worth of content has been consumed. That can keep growing and growing, and this can keep growing and growing. So I would challenge the members of our current UFCW staff and leadership all the way up to the highest level to start thinking about how much they care about this column right here, and how personally attached they are to it, because it's in the process of getting deleted from the UFCW, and it will be a part of our history, but it will not be a part of our future. And that's not a personal threat to you. I'm on board with anybody who's willing to come over to this side. Todd Crosby is the only person who's come out publicly and stated that he's driving towards the top of our union with that model in mind. But any other person who did the same thing would have my full support, and I would do everything in my power to help them be a individual of influence within our union, if they were committed to pushing these principles. So that is a long way of saying it's not personal. I appreciate everybody's time. We have upcoming in-person meetups. Come hang out and build solidarity with us. We're going to be at Becca's Cafe May 18th, the third Sunday. So not Mother's Day, not in a couple days, but a week from Sunday. We'll be at Becca's Cafe in Anderson from 1:30 to 3. We'll just be hanging out. Who knows what'll be going on then. We'll be talking about who our new union leader is and all that good stuff. And then we've got ongoing basketball games at Enterprise Park, 3 o'clock on Fridays. Brothers Robbie, Aiden, Kevin, Jackson, they've been out there playing ball, and they have invited all of us to come hang out. Even if you don't want to play basketball, just come hang out. The basketball courts at Enterprise Park are badass. I actually, I just went to Google Maps so I can pull it up and just look. There's sick basketball courts tucked into these nice trees. There's shade all around. You can come hang out. Parking all along the street, easy access. Enterprise Park Fridays, 3 o'clock. Make it a regular thing. Just be chilling. It's very casual. No meeting, no recording, none of that stuff. Just solidarity building. If you have any ideas or if anything you would like to do physically to meet up, let's do it. Let's get going. If I can hang out, I want to hang out. If you're doing something, let us know so I can be there if I can. That would be cool. Yeah, you're 100% right on that, Adam. Jock's on the international board, and he's going to be part of the decision process for a president. Everybody's concerned about protecting their spot on that board. No one wants to lose it. So Local 8 has battened down the hatches and sided with the old guard. So in-person meetups, Becca's Cafe, May 18th, basketball every Friday at 3 o'clock, and stay tuned. Any new events will be posted up here in the event tab in the At What Cost Discord server, and then spreads out to all the social media channels. We're going to move into closing up this meeting. If anybody has anything to say before we go off mic, let me know. But here comes the closing spiel. Dude, we've got a lot going on in the UFCW right now. It's actually pretty wild. The entire West Coast is on an extended contract. We could walk. We could be in the streets. All the grocery stores, all of them could be begging us to get back to work, and we could demand a fair contract. That could be happening. Like, the seeds of that are already planted. That could be coming. Start preparing now. Save what you can. Spend as little as you can, because unfortunately we don't have first day strike pay. But the time might be coming. The companies are continuing to drag their feet. They're testing us. They're provoking us with weak wage offers and refusal to address our staffing concerns. It's a contract fight season in grocery right now. Mark Perone's retiring, so leadership is shifting. This could be an opportunity for the companies to lose a good friend, but that's probably not going to happen. Todd has risen to stand for the organizing model and campaign on member power. He probably will not get the appointment, but that doesn't matter. The international convention's coming in 2028, and this is our opportunity to find out who he is and get behind him if it's a platform that we agree with and believe in. Between now and then, it could be an epic time of transformation in the UFCW for a few different reasons. With Todd coming out into the light and stating a desire to move towards an organizing model, there could be people in power currently who do support that but have just been too scared to do so openly. This could open the floodgates towards movement in that direction, but we also have local elections coming up in a lot of different locals, and this platform is a platform that any member that wants to lead their local can stand on and feel confident about, because they will have the support of all the other locals that also believe in this, and they will also have the support of Todd Crosby, the only candidate who has stated interest in becoming international president. So that adds legitimacy, in my opinion, to the organizing model as an idea. And, you know, if like for some reason I were to have to stand up against Jacques Laval, I would feel a lot more confident doing that, knowing that the belief system that we were putting forward as the alternative had the support of people like Todd, who has led a local, has been a leader as the organizing director of the international, and has 40 plus years of experience within the UFCW. That's about that. I don't have anything else to add. This is an exciting time. We are moving in a new direction. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. The faster we can make it happen, the better, but we won't stop moving. The Discord server, the YouTube channel, all the socials, they go up every 2 weeks. The number's always going up, with the exception of TikTok. Where you at? Whoever's running that TikTok page. So we're growing. And if we keep going, we will eventually tip the scales, and we will get the voice that we deserve in our union. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. It is the 14th meeting. We did it. It's time to wrap up the mic. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Oh, let me say one thing. Next meeting is going to be on May 23rd at 9 p.m., 2 Fridays from now. If you click interested on the event tab in the Discord server, you'll get a reminder when we go live. If there's anything you want to discuss or add to the agenda, just do it. Say something. Speak up. This is your group just as much as it is anybody else's in this chat room. The more voices, the better. Solidarity to everybody. Does anybody have anything they want to add before we stop recording and go to open mic? All right, that's it. Almost 2 hours. I told you it was a long one. Hoo-ha, goodbye.